We're back with an amazing episode with the lady in the building supply chain and materials. She is the person in the industry, and many of you probably already know her. We're talking with Venveo, and we're talking with Beth, the CEO, and Beth is going to kind of give us a little bit of an overview of her world as she sees it. But just remember, when we're talking about offsite construction, it always depends on building materials. It always depends on supply chain, and how those two intermix is really Beth's world. Not to mention, she has a really cool event that's coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first and foremost, Beth, how are you?
Audrey, I'm so good. It is so good to hang out with you. I love any time that we get a chance to chat and dig in and solve the industry's problems. So thanks so much for having me.
And Beth, as you know, we just talked about your last name, and I forgot to say it. So it's Beth PopNikolov.
Beth
Close.
PopNikolov is close. That was really good.
It's always
It's fine. I pronounced it wrong for the first 3 years of my marriage. So I'm very, very forgiving.
And this is why I love Beth. She's so
Oh,
approachable, she's so authentic, and she's so passionate about this industry. And if you haven't checked out her company, you must, because she is a brand master. She really speaks about the industry. She doesn't speak at you, she speaks with you. So tell us a little bit about, Venveo, and then tell us a little bit where we're going with building supply and what's happening in your world.
yeah. So Venveo is a digital marketing agency in the building materials space. So that means everybody that we work with is either a manufacturer, a distributor, a retailer, an installer, a buyer, a reseller, something in there. They're directly related to the manufacturing process, buying it, needing it, wanting it, selling it, installing it. And we're just the biggest believers that this is the best industry in the world. So when Venveo started, we were founded in 2008. We love to say that's a great year to get into building materials. But lots of agencies were generalists, right? When you're very first starting and you're two people and you'll take all the work that comes your way. And as we were specializing pretty soon after that, we went into building materials as our particular focus because one, it's the best people. And if you're outside the industry, you're like, oh, that's a great marketing line. If you're inside the industry, anytime I say that to people in our industry, they're like, yes, exactly. We're the best. And it is an industry that we're typically a little behind where more B2C consumer goods are from a marketing and sales strategy and technology transition and forward thinking standpoint. One, because we can be, right? Like we're a sales focused industry or a sales driven industry. There's a lot that happens. And for a lot of our organizations that we work with, for manufacturers, you have an 18, 24, 36-month sales cycle. So marketing and sales can start to feel a little tricky as far as ROI and what do we do and what moves the needle and what makes a difference. So we really believe that our purpose in the industry is to make marketing an irreplaceable revenue engine for manufacturers, for dealers, distributors, builders, because it is an absolute essential part as consumer demand shifts and as consumer expectation shifts. And consumers is anybody who's buying the product, not just homeowners. And so we're working to blaze the trail for the digital revolution that is coming for all of us. But Audrey, I so appreciate you saying that we don't talk at you, we talk to you, because that's how it has to be, right? We've got to all be walking on the journey together. None of it is, how could you not have done something like this before? We're always on the path of how do we partner well with where you are? What's the short-term win? What's the long-term win? Because if we're only saying you've got to do all of these millions of things and what you have to do everything different tomorrow, that's just not a lot of conversations for people who are willing to have that conversation. That would not be very fun, right? So it's a lot of what are we doing well right now and what do we need to do to change to make that breakthrough as organizations continue to grow and need to grow their revenue and expand who and how they're able to reach their target audience. Also, there's things that are not going to work that do work in the D2C and the consumer focused industries that won't work with us. And we need to be able to say the yes and the no in order to get the best out of both.
I love, first of all, marketing is my world. You already know that. We kind of speak the same language. And for many of you that might be watching, I got to meet Beth at the World of Modular, and she just has this amazing presence about herself. And she's so in touch with how people are looking at things and how to have those conversations. And I love that you're talking about the digital era. As we know, that's why we do our podcast. That's why we have Offsite Dirt Network. That's why we have Venveo. We are trying to reach people so that we can actually communicate without having to be there all the time. We love being in person. We love having those relationships, but that's not really where everybody's time and money is spent anymore, right? They want quick, they want fast, they want to know what it is. They want the story behind it, and then their emotional ways of buying things is how it's going to happen, right? The selling and the marketing is so different. Wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree. And you said something just there at the end that I think is really important, which is we love to think that we are rational decision makers when it comes to purchases in the B2B world. For building materials, we're purchasing the product that is the safest, that has the best price, that is going to work the best in the building, that's going to give us the best ability to charge higher levels per square footage, or whatever the individual criteria would be. The truth is, even in our world, 90%, that's a marketer stat. That's not a real stat, like not a statistician stat. But there's a stat that shows like 70 to 80% of B2B decisions are emotional. We purchase from people that we like. Architects specify products from the companies that have the best reps, because reps are how you build trust, and they're going to be, they're the phone number that I'm calling. I'm not calling the $2 billion organization. I'm calling Jeff, and Jeff lives in my city, and Jeff has done tons of projects in my city. That's an emotional decision. The Jeff's competitor can come in and say, hey, actually my product is cheaper, it has more, it's wider distribution, it's going to be easier to get. But if you've built a relationship with Jeff, you can say, well, you have all of the confidence to be like, that feels too risky, even if you've got the features and benefits that seem to look better on paper. I'm making an emotional decision. Now, importantly, Jeff's product still has to be really good, right? It's not, you're not buying poor quality products from people that you really like. Anybody that we would talk to in the industry, that's really where marketing can even struggle. The digital world can have a negative connotation in our world because we know that we're relationally based. And so it's exactly what you said, Audree. The digital world, everything that we do online is about extending our ability to build relationships. It should further relationships, foster relationships. It should not replace them. I hope we never live in a world where we don't need somebody to be on the other end of a phone. I'm a human, you're a human. We want to have interpersonal, like face-to-face human relationship conversations, even in business. It's okay that it's not the most efficient. I don't need a robot to drop off the specs at the front doorstep and for me to never see somebody. It's how do we get more out of what we're doing at the personal level and be there when we can't be there. You said it all. Honestly, it's exactly spot on.
So, Beth, you've got a big event that you put together every year, and we've got a few more minutes. I'd love for you to give us a little deeper dive into why this event came about, when it is, and what is the purpose of it.
So our event is the Building Products Customer Workshops, the 2026 Building Products Customer Workshop. It's our 5th year doing it. It is September 30th to October 1st in Nashville. It originated when we were first coming out of COVID, was the first year that we did it. And it started because we were looking around and saying, how at the end of the year, every year, people are like 10 trends from the year, whatever the previous year was. And then they're like, 10 trends to look for in the next year, what buyers want from in the next year, whatever. So we looked around and we were like, that's about to happen at the building products level in particular. Everyone else can worry about themselves. We're worried about building products. And so much has changed, right? We were all forced inside. Everybody was forced online. We had clients who they had their sales teams traveled 300 days a year, and now they were doing 20 Zoom calls a day. We had lumber yards we talked to that stood up curbside delivery in 48 hours out of just sheer need and demand. And all of that push online, it changed habits in ways that honestly, even till today, we're still really feeling and figuring out like, oh yeah, remember before when we didn't do this? So we started with the conversation started as a strategic planning conversation for Venveo, because what we say is we work with people who, we have manufacturers, or particularly at the dealer level, they're the 4th generation owner. or people in manufacturers who they've got people on their team that have worked there for 30, 40 years. My team and I are never going to know your products as well as somebody who's worked there for 40 years, which is fine. What we do know better than anybody else is our customer's customer. So we spend all of our time focused on architects, engineers, designers, installers, builders, GCs, residential, commercial, multifamily, homeowners, DIYers. Like if they need, buy, touch, interact with, and have demands on the building materials world, that is who we focus on. And so it started in strategic planning of us saying, we've got to know what's going to go on. And we've talked to a couple partners about it, and their response was, I think everybody needs to know what's changed. And that was the birth of it. And so we've done the same for the last 5 years. We survey about 1,200 different customers from across every customer segment, create this enormous customer research report that importantly, and Audrey, you're going to be there because I'm going to make sure that we make that happen. And you can tell me if this is true. We turn that into actual strategies and outputs. It's not just like, here's a bunch of numbers. It's here's a bunch of numbers and here's what that tells you about what your sales team needs to know about how to better target and build relationships with builders in the commercial space. Or this is, what your marketing team needs to know for, fill in your audience here.
Actually love what you were saying. And I have to say, when you start thinking about this event, right, it's like it starts in this one direction and then all of a sudden it starts growing into something so much more magical. And I use the word
Yeah.
magical because I do really feel like, Beth, at the heart of it, yes, I know that you're a digital marketing agency, but really I think the one thing that makes you so unique in the marketplace is that you're so relatable and you want to actually help. You're solving a problem.
Yeah.
You're trying to get answers for people because you want this industry to thrive. I feel the same way about the offsite construction industry. I think that's why we align so well is because we have this passion for really being of service and helping people. That's really what I think your event is doing. And at this higher level of these huge brands and these smaller brands, everybody can benefit because knowledge is power. And the way that we market and we talk to our consumers, there just might be a little bit of more information on it. It's funny that you bring up this research report, which I think is so super valuable because everybody in the industry are doing white papers or trying to find out information. But you going to 1,200 people and asking them these questions and defining that information of where people are buying products or how the product's performing or whatever those questions are, it helps us as the business owner, right? Because we're in the business, we're doing the business. Sometimes we don't
Mm-hmm.
reflect and really see what's out there.
Yeah, and I think that's really the whole goal is there's so few opportunities for sales and marketing leaders in our industry to step out of the office and step into a room for a couple of days and really dig deep and understand their audience at a completely different level. There's tons of research and information that companies have to get their arms around, right? We also know that it's really easy for that to become deprioritized as we get into all of the other business initiatives that are part of our day-to-day lives. And of course, we have these huge trade shows and they're really important. And that's how you have really great customer meetings. That's a very different experience and a very different time investment and outcome than sitting in a room and getting to one, deep dive into customer research, and then two, hear from the customer. The main feedback we get is not how smart Venveo and the Farnsworth team are for putting all this research together. It's, I want to hear more from our customers. We've added more customer panels every year because of exactly that. Because somehow we all work together day in and day out in this business, but the conversations are different when we're outside of, it's not a direct selling environment, right? I'm not here to sell you a product. I'm here to figure out how do I sell to 50,000 more of you over the next 10 years. And that really changes the conversation because everyone who's in that room is there to build relationships, is there to build their business, is there to invest because they believe in what we as an entire industry are doing. It's exactly what you're saying. It's the conversations I think are probably the other really incredible part. It's the networking. I would love if people were just like, it's just Beth. She's the spotlight. I actually wouldn't love that. That would be awful.
I don't know. I don't
That's
get that
not,
from you, Beth. You
oh,
just,
okay.
you're a giver. You're not so much of a taker.
I
You'd
like
be in this
that's not the
industry if you
point,
were.
it is a wonderful surprise for it that to be secondary, that it's like this is really great stuff. People take it home, they highlight it, they write in it. It's so important, like that detail. It's the conversations. It's the quantitative back and forth, it's the qualitative. I always say the wrong one first. It's the qualitative back and
No,
forth.
Beth,
It's the
it's okay.
connections.
It's okay. It's all that in together.
Yeah. It's the connection points. So yeah, it is a really incredible event. We keep it small, importantly, like intentionally, we keep it small so that you're able to connect, have good conversations, and get one-on-one feedback from the expert speakers that we bring in. So it's venveo.com/2026. If you want to check it out, you should definitely be there. And Audree's going to be there, so you can meet her in person too.
Oh my gosh, you're so great. So remember that it's September 30th to October 1st. It's in Nashville. If you are anybody within our industry, you do not want to miss this. And you gotta go meet Beth. I mean, you just gotta be right by her in her energy. She exudes such charisma, karma, and good vibes. She is one of my I tell her like if she lived in my backyard or we live close to each
Oh,
other,
we'd be
we
best
would
friends.
be outside all the time. We'd be best friends.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Beth. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like I'm always educated by you in the best possible way. You know, there's so much to learn, so much to do in this industry. There's so many pieces of the puzzle when we talk about construction, and all of it matters. It's just that we can only obtain so much. So I'm glad that you're my friend and my colleague in the marketing area, but also the area that has to do with building materials, because that is the key for all of our successes to keep moving forward and moving on, right?
Agree and agree. And I'm super grateful for you, Audrey. You do incredible things in this industry. I know we've got to go. Tell me one thing that you're seeing in modular or building materials or anywhere that you're like, this is the thing that I think people need to be talking about more.
You know, the thing that I'm starting to realize, I own several different companies, and one of the companies, it's all about problem solving. And
Mhm.
in the building materials area, I was just having a conversation this morning with a supplier. It's about efficiencies. What product can we put through on a manufacturing level, right? So all the people that I work with are in panelization or they're in modular construction or they're doing offsite, some type of standardization, prefab, whatever that looks like. So it's all about timing, it's about efficiency and the quality of the product. That is a big conversation. And here's the thing, if there is a product, so for example, if there's a tile product that I don't actually have to use the tiles, but there is actually a surface board, which there is a particular company with that right now. I want to know about it because it's going to make my end line, right? My building product come out that much quicker, that much faster. So I love that you're in that space. I know that you're finding innovative products. I also know that you're finding out what is most important to those consumers and the end users. So that right there is fantastic information for these modular companies, these CEOs, these bottom lines that are trying to figure out where do we become more profitable. And it all comes
Mhm.
down to what kind of materials are we working with? Are they quality? Are they helping us become more efficient? How are we standardizing it? All those good things that you have those conversations with the same people. It's great.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was just reading an article the other day about what like the five CEOs from the largest the public home builders like Taylor Morrison, KB Homes, those guys, and efficiencies was one of the top things, which is I love when all of the worlds combine. That is the trajectory forward, right? There's no one saying we should get more inefficient, certainly. But more importantly, it aligns on that's how we drive down cost and increase affordability. That's how we solve at some level the labor crisis that exists across the board. That's how we are able to have manufacturers be able to break in and have singular products that work at the individual traditional construction as well as within the modular world, that we're able to create efficiencies even at the product line level. So we're having good cross pollination there, and good crossover and economies of scale there. I mean, there's so much that it's always been part of the conversation. It's interesting how it's shifting a little and go. First of all, it's not certainly not a nice to have; it's a need to have, and it's in the best interest of everyone because now the efficiencies aren't just the builder makes more, the modular company gets things out faster, and so our profit goes up a little more. It's also at the end of the day, the homeowner or the building owner, their costs can be a little more reasonable, so their occupant costs can be a little more reasonable, and we're able to have more of what we need overall and just increase production, which is
Yeah.
in high demand
More
everywhere.
homes is key, right? We're all
Yeah.
talking about how do we get more. We have 5 million home shortage That's probably a little higher by now.
Yeah.
We need more homes and we need them to
Yeah.
be quality and we need to have good products and we need to have a good process and we need more productivity. So all of
Yeah.
those can be answered. Thank you, Beth, for being here. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Audrey. So appreciate it.
And that's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. Join us again and make sure you check out September 28th, 29th. Oh, I'm sorry, September 30th through the 1st. You definitely want to check out Beth's event. Go to Venveo and / 2025.
2026, 2025 will get you there.
Either way, just check her
It
out.
will.
You will love her. Let me just tell you right now, she's one to know. Thanks, Beth. Have a good one.